This is a human population project by Andy, Gavin, Irfan, and Tyler. My name is Irfan, and I'm doing stage one, which we chose as the Awa tribe. It's an indigenous tribe located in Brazil with a current population size of only 450 people. The birth rate and death rate are the same ratio because that's a huge trait in stage one populations. There's usually a high birth rate, but it's also equaled out by a really huge death rate. That's why the population can't increase by a drastic amount. Migration, the Awa tribe usually just migrate with themselves because their huge enemy are loggers, which destroy their homes for wood, and they usually don't get along with neighboring tribes, and they don't have a trading system with them either. Total fertility rate is usually 4 kids per family, but due to like no current medicine, it's hard for the kids to survive, and contraceptive rate is 0%. There's no access to healthcare since the Awa tribe has no connection to the modern world, and they don't want to be connected. They just want to survive by themselves. For literacy and life expectancy, there's no specific school system in the Awa tribe. It is that the tribe learns their own language so that they can communicate within themselves. And men usually just go out to hunt, and while women do chores and care for the children. The age of marriage is at 19, and the first age of reproduction is 21.63. This is a really changing number because it goes from 25. It goes from anywhere around 20 to 25. The age structure diagram for stage one is really fluctuating, but usually most of the time, ages under 35 usually have really huge numbers, but as it goes up or gets older in age, it usually gets smaller and smaller. For economic indicators for this tribe, it's usually agriculture, which they try to make their own food, and hunting, which is their main source of food, where that supplies the village. For child labor, there's usually no child labor system, but children are usually given chores to do, which keeps them busy during their daily lives. Boys usually go practice hunting with their dads, or at least go watch them. Two parameters. The biggest one was the birth rate and death rate, since the population will never have a drastic increase until medicine comes around, which will help them survive a lot longer, and the birth rate will increase. But at stage one, they'll always equal out. And the second one for the Awa tribe at least was the low infant mortality rate, and this was because the babies that were born usually die due to lack of food or disease, since there's not a lot of medicine.
Hello, my name is Tyler, and I'll be doing stage two portion of our project, which is Afghanistan. Population size 36,643,815. This is important because a stage two country will have a relatively low population. Birth rate 36.7 births per 1,000 population, which corresponds to the total fertility rate of 4.82 children born per woman, which means a lot of children are being born to one family, which is a sign of a stage two country. Infant mortality rate is 104.3 deaths per live birth, which means that even though a lot of people are being born, they die before they reach maturity. Access to healthcare 87% of the population has health facilities within a 2 hour distance. Now, yes, this may sound good. However, if you get a fatal injury, you're most likely going to die within those 2 hours. Economic indicators, they have an unemployment rate of 23.9%. This is important because the stage two country is going to have a relatively high unemployment rate because there are little to no jobs. The use of industries for the economy is only 18.1%. And when you compare that to a stage four country like China, who has a 40.5%, it really shows the difference between them. Also, Afghanistan has a below poverty line of 54.5%. When comparing that to China, which is 3.3%, it really shows the difference between them. And for overall quality of life, out of the 82 countries that submitted it, Afghanistan was not one. And this is important because the stage two country is not really going to be focused on the quality of life of their people, so they didn't make one.
The next stage will be stage 3, India. The population size of India would be 1.353 billion people. The birth rate would be 18.2 births per 1,000 people. The death rate would be 7.3 per 1,000 people. What these numbers show is that India is at a stage 3 level. India has a high population while also having a death rate lower than the birth rate. Going back to the numbers, India's infant mortality rate is actually 35.4 deaths per thousand. Their total fertility rate is 2.35 births per woman, and the contraceptive rate is 53.5%. Even though India has a high infant mortality rate, the total fertility rate and the contraceptive rate tells us why it is growing at such a great number and is considered a stage 3 country. In India, the access to healthcare surprisingly only covers 37% of citizens. Literacy rate / school life expectancy is at 12 years. The age for marriage is at 18 years old, and the mean of age of first reproduction is at 20.3 years old. Next is India's economic indicators. Their GDP growth rate is at 6.7%, while their unemployment rate is at 8.5%, and their inflation rate is at 3.6%. Next is India's child labor. India's child labor is around 10.1 million children under work. This is because they are at a stage 3 level where the population is very high, but it does not mix well with their high levels of poverty. This poverty actually causes children to be put under work to make more money. Hence why there is a high level of child labor. The next two reasons are other factors that contribute to why India is at a stage 3 level. The first factor is their abundance of resources and location. As many know, the more resources you have, the higher population. This is why India is considered a stage 3 level, as there is more resources to let them grow. The other factor is cultural reasons. In India, marriage is very important and encouraged of. This would mean the population would increase, which correlates to a stage 3 level country. Lastly, the rank of overall quality of life in India is 59 out of 82.
So our stage 4 country is China. China is a stage 4 country because the birth and death rates are both low, leading to a stable population. The decline in both birth and death rates is mainly due to their strong economy, highly educated citizens, and more available and advanced healthcare, with about 95% of the population has at least basic health insurance coverage. Not only that, with expanded employment opportunities for women, urbanization, and a high contraceptive rate of 84.5%, the total fertility rate decreased to about 1.693 births per woman, showing a decrease in population growth. So the economic indicators include the GDP growth rate of 6.6% and a low unemployment rate of 3.6%. They prohibit child labor under age 16, and the two parameters that show how China is in stage 4 is that they have a low poverty rate of 1.7% and has a GDP of 13.4 trillion, making them the second largest economy in the world. Also, their overall quality of life, they are currently ranked number 63 mid-year of 2020.